Tonight, there's a new route from Prince George to Kelowna coming at YXS with Pacific Coastal Airlines. Plus, the renovations to the floors at the Kin Centre were all done in a quite unique way by using rubber recycled from tires. And a local U14 girls basketball team from Prince George is preparing for a big-time tournament. Good evening, folks. I'm Eddie Huband, and welcome to CKPG News. Our top story tonight, travelers hoping to go to the Okanagan will soon have a new air option available to them. Pacific Coastal Airlines announced on Monday that they'll be launching a new route between Kelowna and Prince George starting in the fall. Adam Burles reports.
A new arrival to YXS Prince George Airport as Pacific Coastal Airlines has announced that a new route between BC's northern capital and Kelowna will start in the fall. This is the second airline to offer direct service to Kelowna after Central Mountain Air.
We've already been operating services out of Prince George to Victoria. We're the only carrier in the province who offers a nonstop service. And we've been recently expanding our services across the province to various communities, introducing just the convenience of a new nonstop flight that allows customers and passengers to avoid the need to connect at a major hub. And we saw an opportunity where we could offer the residents of Prince George a conveniently scheduled flight time that leaves Prince George in the morning, goes nonstop to Kelowna, and returns in the afternoon.
The new service will operate 6 times a week from Sunday to Friday starting on October 28th using Beechcraft 1900 aircraft seen here, which seats 19 people. The flight will depart Kelowna at 6:20 p.m. and arrive in Prince George at 7:40 p.m. The plane will be parked overnight in Prince George and then depart for Kelowna the next morning at 7:45 a.m.
Pacific Coastal's offering is really timed well, and it gives people some really good flexibility in their vacation planning. Overnighting the airplane here helps with on-time performance the next day, and certainly the direct routing is really desirable.
Pacific Coastal says that they saw the opportunity to connect the Okanagan and northern BC markets, offering more regional destinations for northerners.
There's a lot of people, obviously, year-round looking to access the Kelowna market. And we absolutely saw a need to just connect the northern BC with the Okanagan with this nonstop flight.
Pacific Coastal Airlines has been flying out of Prince George direct to Victoria for a number of years now, and there is hope that the Kelowna flight will have similar success.
I do believe that. I think there's a good mix of leisure and business traffic in both Kelowna and Victoria that really make it a nice mix and for a successful route.
For more information on flight availability and pricing, you can visit pacificcoastal.com. Adam Burles, CKPG News.
The wildfire situation in the Caribou has improved with an evacuation order downgraded and some alerts rescinded. It's good news for those living in the District of Wells, but the mayor warns that the weather could change the circumstances at any moment.
The scorched path of a wildfire burning in central BC. Discovered 5 days ago, the Cornish Mountain Fire is just east of Quesnel.
It's rugged terrain, very rugged. So you're trying to put a guard into and or around a mountain is almost impossible.
District of Wells Mayor Ed Coleman toured the area by helicopter Monday morning. The blaze is just 2 kilometres from town. Though the situation has stabilised, 380 properties are now off alert and one evacuation order has been downgraded. But conditions could still change.
We have these fires that are in the area that are vulnerable as per whatever the weather is doing. So we are expecting a weather system Thursday, Friday.
Meantime, a wildfire burning close to Highway 1 en route to Hope is now classified as held. Multiple crews were dispatched Monday morning between Hurling Island and Peters Road, impacting traffic. Up to 6,000 customers were without power at one point. BC Hydro says a tree came down on a wire and a transmission line had to be de-energised to keep firefighters safe. With more hot weather in the forecast, more resources are being added. Over the weekend, a team from Nova Scotia arrived in BC, along with equipment from Ontario. Later this week, 2 crews will be arriving from Australia and New Zealand.
Those resources are really important because many of our staff, although there's been very little activity so far in the southern half of the province, have been working in the north since the first week of May. So bringing in those additional people allows us to make sure that our crews can rest and reset.
Thunderstorms are expected over the next few days.
Valemount RCMP is renewing its call for public assistance in solving a tragic hit-and-run incident that resulted in the death of Claire Newman, a respected member of the Merritt and Logan Lake communities. This incident occurred back on July 4th, 2023, shortly before midnight. Claire Newman, who served as a city councillor in Merritt and as the Logan Lake City Councillor Community Force president for 14 years, was struck by an unidentified vehicle. Despite exhaustive efforts by the RCMP and the community, the person remains at large. Lauren Newman, Claire's daughter, recently made a heartfelt plea on camera, urging anyone with information to come forward.
Car accidents happen all the time. Cancers happen all the time. You name it happens all the time. But that doesn't mean you can't do the right thing and come forward and give people that closure that they need.
According to new data from a nonpartisan registered charity known as the Fur Bearers, Prince George was the deadliest community in BC for black bears in 2023. This charity has used freedom of information legislation to access data about where black bears are killed annually. According to the organization, 603 black bears were killed in BC last year, and 76 were killed in Prince George, making it the deadliest community in the province for black bears. The second deadliest community is in Kamloops, which recorded 31 black bear deaths last year.
Prince George historically and even just recently is almost double the number of deaths for black bears that are happening around the rest of the province. And so Prince George is an anomaly for potentially many reasons. This is happening. It's really amplifying the need for change in Prince George, the need for leadership, for elected officials to step up at the city level. And certainly it's a wake-up call for the BC Conservation Officer Service, which quite frankly has a cavalier attitude towards killing bears, particularly in the region of Prince George.
Premier David Eby says working with the federal government can sometimes feel like beating his head against a wall. Eby's in Halifax for a meeting of Canada's premiers this week, where he told a news conference that he's disappointed with the lack of teamwork with Ottawa. He says the premiers are familiar with the needs and challenges of residents in their jurisdictions, and he doesn't understand why Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has not answered repeated calls for a meeting to discuss how to tackle pressing issues together. Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston echoed similar sentiments in a letter sent to Trudeau ahead of the conference, asking the Prime Minister to work with the premiers to revive the, quote, collaborative spirit of the Federation. You may notice something different if you move between the kin centers. The floors seem kind of spongy, and there's a reason for that. New floors have been installed. And here's the catch. They've been recycled from rubber tires. Cheryl Jan has the story.
The smell hits you square in the face when you walk through the atrium at the kin centers, the prevailing smell of rubber. That's because these floors were just recently laid, all made of recycled tires.
The tires all come down into Delta from all over the province, and they're recycled by Liberty Tire. And then what happens is Liberty Tire makes recycles those tires into, they remove the steel and fiber, and they are left with just these little tiny particles of black, they call it thrum rubber. Then that material is sold to different markets.
For the city, there were plenty of reasons for going with this option when it came to replacing the floors through the halls and in the dressing rooms.
The benefits of this, definitely non-slip, easy for skates. You don't ruin your skates. And and that little bit of a spring to it as well.
These products, like the tiles in the kin center's connector, keep thousands of tires from piling up and creating an environmental nightmare.
In British Columbia alone, we have the equivalent of about 5.5 million car tires that are recycled every year. So at the end of 2023, the program in total had recycled about 115 million car tire equivalents. So these are big, big numbers.
Consumers pay an Enviro fee when they buy tires, but Rosemary Sutton says you don't have to take your old tires back to the retailer.
But you don't have to wait for a collection event. If you've got some tires at home, then you can take them to a return to retailer location in Prince George. And the list of those is on our website under Recycle My Tires. And you can, I think there's about 20 different stores in Prince George that had been kind enough to offer the ability for consumers to come and drop off tires.
The Tire Stewardship Program will be in Prince George again this September if anyone has a tire or two they'd like to pass on for a good cause. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
Summerfest has been an annual event in the downtown for years, and this year marks the event's silver anniversary. But while there are the usual festivities planned, there's also something new this time around. Cheryl Jan reports once again.
25 years and going. That's how long Summerfest has graced the streets of downtown. And some of the events on this anniversary year are pretty much as they have been in the previous 24.
We're definitely having live music. We've got vendors. We've got the outdoor food court where we have various food trucks. They're definitely going to tantalize your taste buds on that day. And so we're really happy that we can partner with groups like Two Rivers Gallery and Reaps. And we even have the PGSO here. They're going to be selling their raffle tickets.
One of the food trucks that is pretty much a permanent fixture at any event in town is that of the White Goose Bistro. Summerfest is no exception.
We have two food trucks, of course. So we have two, this year for Summerfest, we're doing our basics like our homemade burgers and fries and poutine and all that stuff. We are featuring a fresh halibut fish burger that's got in-house made tartar sauce, halibut.
And while there are the usual things for Summerfest, the events for kids, the outdoor market, lots of shopping and vendors, there's something new this year, and it involves a passport.
When you go to the participating restaurants and you get that passport validated, you can enter to win, and the grand prize is $500 worth of gift certificates to our downtown restaurants. So we really want people to take advantage, pick up the passport, but they will be available. That contest is starting on July 20th and going till August 31st.
And again, the White Goose Bistro is in, and Moreland says it works to draw customers.
Well, this is the first time that downtown's done it, but in the past we have done it with tourism. They've done one as well, and I think it probably does, because if you're going to go out for dinner anyways, you know, might as well fill your passport and enter to win, right? So I think it's kind of a neat idea. It doesn't cost you anything, so it's just a free initiative.
The event launches at 11 in the morning and runs until 4 p.m. Plenty of time to take in all that Summerfest has to offer. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
With expected highs of plus 30 throughout the week, it's important to protect yourself from the sun. Sam Benison has the lowdown on sunscreen on this week's To Your Health.
And now To Your Health, brought to you by Hard Drugs, 3rd Avenue Pharmacy, and the Phoenix Pharmacy.
While the summer heat is nice, it's important to recognize the sun is a deadly laser. And if not properly protected, you will burn. While wearing shirts and staying in the shade blocks all harmful UV rays, sunscreen is a great option for any exposed body parts. But what's the difference between SPF 30 and SPF 50?
Generally, SPF 30 is enough to cover 96.7% of sun rays, as long as it's sort of a broad spectrum one with a lot of different good ingredients. Whereas if you get like SPF 50, it's only about 98%. So it's really not that much of a return on investment. You don't get too much more protection.
Well, it doesn't make much of a difference for adults. With kids, it's better to buy the most protective sunscreen possible.
Generally, you try and avoid any sun exposure under 6 months old, especially. Over 6 months, you can start using SPF 30 type stuff. I generally recommend anything with like zinc dioxide, because that will, or zinc or titanium, because that will sort of work to repel the sun.
And if you're planning a trip this summer vacation, consider packing sunscreen that will not only protect yourself, but also the environment.
If someone's going on vacation somewhere where they're going to be swimming in an area with coral reefs, I always make sure to recommend sunscreens that are reef safe. Like oxybenzone is one of the ingredients that is not considered safe for reefs, so just make sure you double check that before you purchase anything.
However, accidents happen and you still might get sunburned. What are some ways to relieve that itchy soreness?
Aloe vera gels are quite commonly used, and they do have a soothing effect. I always recommend people stay very hydrated as well, because if they get sunburned, there's a good chance that they weren't hydrating the day before, maybe too many beers or something in the sun, making you extra dehydrated and more prone to sunburn.
Brett adds that you should buy clear aloe gels as opposed to the ones that are green, as they contain unnecessary additives. Sam Benison, CKPG News.
To Your Health, brought to you by Hard Drugs, 3rd Avenue Pharmacy, and the Phoenix Pharmacy.
The lowest gas price in Prince George is sitting at $1.62.9 per litre at Costco. The lowest price in the province right now is in Chilliwack at $1.55.9 per litre. Manitoba currently has the lowest fuel prices on average in the country at $1.42.4 per litre, while BC has an average price of $1.73.7 per litre.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
The BC Summer Games are set to kick off this weekend in Maple Ridge, and athletes from around the region are preparing for the games, including the, and bear with me, U14 Summer Games Zone 8 Girls 5-on-5 basketball team. Anthony Correa brings us the details.
It was a process that started late April, early May. 12 girls securing their spot on the Zone 8 5-on-5 basketball team. Now the team has one more practice before taking off to Maple Ridge.
This will be our first time heading away on the road to play in a tournament. So we head down on Wednesday, we have a practice on Thursday, and then we play 2 games Friday and guaranteed 1 more game on Saturday.
One of those girls traveling with the team is Cadence Hooft, who is recently a recipient of one of 16 BC Games leadership bursaries, with her hard work getting rewarded both on and off the court.
It was really exciting seeing that. I think I've worked really hard to earn that. They asked a lot of questions about what I've been doing in sports and services, and I got to tell a lot about what I've been doing lately.
And now she's just days away from competing on one of the biggest stages with her teammates.
Opportunity to go to the Summer Games is really exciting. It's once in a lifetime, and it's really exciting to bond with the team this way and new experiences.
But there's still work to be done before players get on that bus.
The final touches will be on our skills and also on our technical aspect with our 5-on-5 offensive, defensive, sideline, end lines. So this is the last kind of group practice before we head on the bus.
The BC Summer Games take place July 18th to 21st. Anthony Correa, CKPG News.
The TSX is up 244 points to close at 22,995. The Dow Jones is up 743 points to close at 40,954. And Canfor went up 79 cents to close at $14.85.
Good evening again. It is going to be a pretty nice day going forward tomorrow. Just a slight chance of showers in the forecast, but our satellite map taking us back from earlier today and a mainly sunny day out there. Ridge of high pressure continues to dominate our weather story. Bit of a system up here targeting mostly the north coast and Gulf of Alaska, but otherwise we are in pretty good shape when it comes to our temperatures and our conditions. Our temperatures, though, will be pretty hot. So Futurecast has been very uneventful the last week or two, just because it's the ridge of high pressure that has been over the entire province, and it's continuing to strengthen. It's very persistent as well, so not a whole lot in terms of a breakdown anytime soon. You can see these little pop-up isolated showers in and around the southern part of the province, and we'll see the potential for that as well. So very slight chance at the moment that we could see some showers tomorrow. 32 up in Fort St. John. Very hot weather up in the Peace for the next few days ahead. The temperature continues to rise. We know wildfire is a concern as well, and of course the smoky forecast that seems to kind of come in and out. So just keeping that in mind and making sure you're remaining diligent out there. 33 degrees for us tomorrow. We are anticipating a temperature that feels a lot more like 35 or 36, though, with a little bit of humidity. Very hot down through the southern interior. Kamloops picking up a temperature of about 40 tomorrow, close to that down through Kelowna, and even the south coast. Temperatures will be well into the 30s the next few days, just especially away from the water as we see the temperatures really rise inland. 32 for Fort St. James tomorrow. We're looking at temperatures into the low 30s. Mackenzie and Vanderhoof for us, down through McBride, 34, and even warmer in Quesnel. 36 degrees will be the posted temperature. 28 in Vancouver, as I mentioned, away from the water. That'll feel more like 30, 34 in Edmonton. Very hot in parts of Alberta for the next couple of days as well. Throughout the prairies, we're looking at temperatures into the mid to high 20s, so a little bit more comfortable there. And then, of course, further east, there's been a lot of thunderstorm activity and some showers here and there as well. Mix of sun and cloud as we look at our big late week map for you. And yes, the hot weather continuing. It'll back off maybe just a little bit going into the weekend, but for the most part, we can expect to be pretty warm going forward. Burns Lake, 7 tonight, 32 tomorrow. So your overnight lows the next couple of days are actually a little bit cooler, which will give you a bit of a break. Up to 30 on Thursday. Mackenzie, 11 overnight tonight with clear skies. 33 will be the high tomorrow. And then topping out at about 32 with some increasing clouds for Thursday. We'll watch to see if we get a thunderstorm or two on Friday there. McBride, 12 overnight tonight. Highs of 34 for the next few days. 32 on Friday. Warmer afternoon showers are possible. Then we take the temperature back up for the weekend, especially for Saturday. Quesnel is going to be very hot going forward for the next few days. You get a bit of a dip down on Friday, but right back up there for Saturday and Sunday. And for us in Prince George, clear skies tonight, 11 degrees. Our highs tomorrow, 33, feeling more like 35 or 36. So keep that in mind when you're out and about. Hot with sunshine. It's a good way to sum things up. We're looking at an increase in cloud on Thursday, a drop down on Friday potentially. So we might get a bit of a break from all the heat, at least for one day this week.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
The good news keeps on rolling this offseason for the Prince George Cougars as 2 players have been named to Hockey Canada's National Junior Team Summer Showcase. Riley Height and Josh Ravensbergen are 2 of the 42 players invited to camp, which takes place July 28th to August 3rd in Windsor, Ontario and Plymouth, Michigan. Ravensbergen is one of 4 members who are eligible for the 2025 NHL draft, while an NHL franchise has already selected the rest of the roster. The event serves as a tryout for the 2025 IIHF World Junior Championships. Practice and games will take place 2 weeks from now. The Prince George U18 AAA Knights had another successful weekend and are now preparing for the final stretch of the season. They currently sit 5th place in the league standings. Since Prince George is further away than most teams, they play fewer games in a season. As a result, standings go off winning percentage, which has the Knights currently at 700%. Right behind them, the North Delta Pirates. Provincials are at the end, are the end goal as the top 8 teams earn a spot and head to Cloverdale July 25th to the 28th. This upcoming weekend is the Knights' final home games of the season, taking place Saturday and Sunday at Citi Field. The MLB All-Star Game Home Run Derby took place last night, and even though former Blue Jay Teoscar Hernandez was crowned champion as the first ever Dodger to win the Derby, the talking point was actually the national anthem. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see in a second. Cover your ears as we count down some of the worst renditions of the Star Spangled Banner in tonight's CKB3.
Ingrid Andress kicks off the countdown.
We're so gallantly and the rockets spread glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
Next, Roseanne Barr. Finally, Fergie sings away.
O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star spangled banner yet wave?
It's the NBA All-Star Game as Fergie tries her attempt at the Star Spangled Banner. None of these singers deserve as much criticism as they get, but it's a talking point. and it also takes top spot in tonight's CKP3.
And that's all for tonight, folks. Thanks for joining us as always, and we will see you tomorrow. Have yourselves a great night.